I'm Ron Freeheight
with Wenger Corporation. We're standing outside the newly renovated music building at Austin High School in Austin, Minnesota.
Still an active construction site, but let's go inside and see what's going on. Before we get started, I just want to mention that this is a partnership with MacPhail Center for Music, as well as a generous donation from the Hormel Foundation.
So we're here in the basement of the high school. This was where the band and choir program have been for the past 60 or 70 years. This space is now being renovated to storage space. Cinder block walls, relatively low ceilings, kind of dark and damp space. Here's the choir room. Just take a peek inside. Storage right now, but you can get a sense of what that space was like. So let's head upstairs and take a look at the new music suite. So here we are in the new choir space. Lots of great natural light coming into this room compared to the basement. 2,400 square feet in this new space. With the renovation, what they did was they actually lowered the floor in this room to give a 12-foot ceiling height in the middle of the room, and then still about 9 feet around the border of the room at the top of the riser section.
It's really hard to believe that this used to be a shop, I think is what it used to be, and now it's turned into a choir room. That's just amazing.
To accommodate the 100 or so students in this choir program, the architect went with a Stage Tech riser system, which is a nice upgrade over the poured concrete risers that were in the space downstairs. These particular risers were custom designed to fit perfectly into this space.
It's a very nicely designed room with the open ceiling grid in here. There's some K13, 1-inch K13 on top of the ceiling, or underneath the ceiling to manage the acoustics of the room. But even with all the great improvements done to the room, I think the group is looking for even more flexibility than the room had when they were getting ready to finish it up. And that's when they contacted Wenger about what other options there may be.
We should mention this is a shared space between the high school and the MacPhail program, so a lot of different groups using this choir room. The VA rehearsal system in this room was actually a late addition. It was installed after construction was complete in this section of the building.
So it's decided to add active acoustics to the room. We took a look at the existing design and construction of the space and said in order for the active acoustic system and the VA system to work correctly in the room, we're going to have to swap out the ceiling tile that's reflective to something that's more absorptive in the room to give us a good baseline to start from.
We already had that K13 1-inch on the deck, so it was just a matter of swapping out that sheetrock with a NRC 0.95 tile.
So you mentioned we had to dig down in the space to increase the cubic volume in the room because it was relatively low ceiling in here. But even then it was still limited, I think, on what the group was expecting for what they could do in this rehearsal room.
And that's the real benefit of VA rehearsal. When you have a room without enough volume, this is really the only way, this technology is the only way to accomplish the reverberation that you need for a choir program like this. In addition to helping overcome the limited volume in this space, virtual acoustics really gives this room flexibility that you really can't achieve with drapes or any other type of variable acoustic treatment.
Expectations of the room are pretty high because of the number of different types of groups that were using this space and the kind of variability they wanted in the room. And really the only way to get to that increased flexibility was through the VA rehearsal system.
Each VA rehearsal system is designed specific to the unique space that it's in. This room uses just 2 microphones. They're suspended from the ceiling. They have a cardioid pickup pattern. They're positioned to pick up students no matter where they're facing or singing in this room. There are 27 speakers in total, 12 speakers providing lateral energy around the boundary of the room, and then 15 speakers in the overhead plane, providing reflections and reverberation from that plane.
The signal processing for the VA systems typically interact like this, along with the amplification that drives the speakers for the room. And then there's a control panel that the director will use.
One final feature to discuss is the built-in record and playback included in every VAE system. This is really easy to use, high fidelity recordings, instant immersive playback, which we work hard to make sure we're matching the level of the ensemble for a very realistic playback experience. The system has space for up to 2 hours of continuous recording or 9 separate tracks before files which are in a WAV format need to be offloaded onto a laptop. Similarly, you can upload accompaniments or WAV files into the system and then play those back through the system as well. Finally, VAE does include 2 aux inputs, so you can plug in your smartphone or a Bluetooth receiver and play music or any kind of material through the system that way as well.
And one of the goals for the VAE system for this space was to extend the capabilities of the room itself to give more cubic volume and more flexibility to the groups that were performing in this space. Along with that is the capability to record and hear exactly what you did immediately, because that's so important when you're trying to teach students to say, did you hear what you did? And be able to hear that immediately so you get this idea, yes, I heard that, we can change how we can do it next time, which is a really important part of the teaching aspect of the system. Now the benefit of the record and playback, especially if you have a very large group, and maybe the group can't all be playing at the same time, is you can record one section of one group during one rehearsal and then play that back along with the other part of the group, and they can be practicing together even though they're not in the same space at the same time. It's a great tool as part of the system. So it's really beneficial to be able to control the acoustics of the room, and sometimes that means turning the system off so you have less reverberance in the space, especially when you're just talking to students or just teaching the students and you don't want reverberance in space. They can hear you clearly throughout the entire room.
Since we have a brand new baby grand in this room, let's demonstrate a couple presets. Start with the system turned off. So this is just the natural room acoustics, not reverberant, very dry, controlled loudness like Ron mentioned. Let's jump to our first preset. So we've selected that, unmute and turn up the volume a little bit. This is a small, bright and lively room. We call it the Baroque space. Do one more. We'll jump to what we call the cathedral setting. This is a space this choir we expect to use quite a bit. So we'll turn that up. So I think that wraps up this space. Why don't we take a look upstairs and check out the other rehearsal rooms quickly.
Let's take a look at the VA studios up there as well.
So now we're upstairs in the nearly completed orchestra space, orchestra rehearsal room. This is a brand new addition on top of the annex building that existed before. Really nice space. This room is designed with appropriate amount of volume for the orchestra program they have here at the high school.
To add additional flexibility to the space, the VAE system was also included in here to give more flexibility for the music rehearsal sessions, along with the record and playback.
The room pretty close to the way it was originally planned with VAE. The one change is we swapped out what was going to be a mostly open graded ceiling to just that 1-inch K13 again. We swapped out the ceiling tiles and did a full ACT ceiling in this room, just to knock down the reverberation so that we have that full range of flexibility in this space.
Next door to this rehearsal room is the band rehearsal room, very similar to this room, slightly larger. It's under construction, so we're not going to be able to get in it today.
And they have a VA rehearsal system installed over there as well. Before we go, let's take a quick stop in at the VA studio systems and look at that. They're just outside the room. So finally, we're here across from the band and orchestra room in one of the small built-in practice rooms. This room has been equipped with Wanger's Studio VA system, which is really the same technology that we've reviewed in the rehearsal rooms. All the same features, but in a much smaller format. Works in rooms up to about 200 square feet. This room is about 10 by 8, about an 8-foot ceiling. The system is really simple in here. There's 2 microphone panels on adjacent walls, and then a speaker pair in the top corner, each top corner of the room. Processor is located in the tabletop unit, along with the control panel, which can be on the tabletop or on the stand. Studio VAE is a great way to overcome the challenges of small room acoustics. Can turn any small space like this into a really bright, vibrant, fun place to practice and rehearse. Well, that just about wraps up our tour of Austin High School.
Thanks for joining us today. If you have any questions about VAE technology or any other Wenger products, please call us.
Wenger provided numerous solutions for Austin High School, including VAE rehearsal systems, Studio VAE technology, acoustical doors, Stage Tech seated risers, student music posture chairs, Classic 50 music stands, conductors equipment, ensemble stools, folio cabinets, instrument storage cabinets, percussion workstation, music library system, cello racks, and rack and roll garment racks. For more information on Wenger products, please visit wengercorp.com.